I saw billions of possible futures, billions of deaths. We can't stop what's coming.
We just ran out of time.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. We have the best possible news. We finally have confirmed Tom Welling's Superman Smallville crossover coming to Crisis on Infinite Earths, The Flash, Arrow, all the other DC TV shows this year. So we'll break it down. They talked a little bit about what his storyline is going to be, and it will confirm some of the theories that you guys have had about what's been going on with Tom Welling's Superman since his show ended. We're doing a new Amazon giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your best Smallville Superman theory for Crisis on the video. If you're not sure what's going on, you just saw the news or you just woke up, late last night what happened is Mark Guggenheim, who used to be the showrunner on Arrow, but who's still kind of managing things from an executive producer level and sort of overseeing their Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, tweeted that they would have huge news to reveal tomorrow. Earlier this morning, they then confirmed that that news was that Tom Welling had agreed to come back for Crisis on Infinite Earths. So, of course, people are like, what's going on? Is he going to be Superman? Is he going to be Clark Kent? What are they going to do with the other Smallville characters? Are they finally canonizing the events of the Smallville TV show to the Arrowverse? Because technically, anytime an actor playing their character from another show appears in the Arrowverse, it means that they're trying to canonize that show, like John Wesley Shipp's 90s version of Barry Allen Flash. All it takes for them to canonize the show is for that character to appear as their character from the original show. They don't have to have any special storyline or anything like that. All they have to do is walk in and say, I'm Smallville Superman from another Earth. It is their way of explaining the larger DC universe, because in the Arrowverse, there was this whole big thing about them only having 53 versions of Earth because there's a new 52 Easter egg, 52 Earths. A couple of years ago, they introduced Earth X. That was the 53rd Earth. But if you've been reading comics for a long time, it's called Crisis on Infinite Earths for a reason. There should be infinite numbers of Earths in the multiverse. They used the John Wesley Shipp Barry Allen Flash during last year's crossover to correct that oversight, or at least expand the universe, whether or not they originally intended on doing an infinite number of Earths. All it took was them just saying Earth 90, and automatically there were more than 53 Earths. So we don't know what the designation of his Earth on Smallville is going to be, because we've already been to the Tyler Hoechlin Supergirl version of Smallville, which is on Earth 38. But the way they explain it is they're going to introduce him and explain what's happened to his version of Superman 10 years after the end of that show. Now, it hasn't been a full 10 years in real life because the show ended in 2011, so we're still a couple years away from that. They're going to bend time and space a little bit. 10 years is just a nice solid benchmark. He's put on a lot of city miles. He's been Superman that whole time. It's not going to be some super duper depressing, everything went to shit storyline. But the crazy thing about his Superman is that he's just a little bit younger than the Brandon Routh version of Superman who's playing Kingdom Come Superman, although he's playing his Superman from Superman Returns. So now we have a full-on Reign of the Superman going on within Crisis on Infinite Earths. There's so many different versions of that Superman character. We know way more about what's going on with the Tyler Hoechlin Superman. He's been adamant that they're not developing a Superman spin-off TV show with just his character. I think the twist is they're actually trying to do a Superboy-style TV show where he's raising his baby that he had with his version of Lois Lane that they teased in last year's crossover. They went off to Argo City to have that baby. Now they're coming back for the crossover. So they're going to have to explain what happened with that young Superboy baby that they just had. But if you're a big Smallville fan like me, then you actually know that they did Smallville Season 11 in the comics, continuing his story, showing what he did in his first years as Superman. because the show ended just as he embraced his identity as Superman put the costume on, so you're just left to wonder what his time as actual Superman was going to be like. But they dealt with it in the comics, they did a version of Justice League, they introduced a version of Wonder Woman in that continuity, all within sort of the style and the tone of the Smallville TV show, because all the heroes in their version of Justice League looked a little bit different from traditional comic book Justice League.
All right, let's do it.
So all that stuff happened in the last 10 years. All that stuff is going to be canon. They will have had their version of Justice League. They'll explain what happened with that and what he's been doing this whole time when he shows up. They didn't say exactly which episode he'd debut in, because remember, it's 5 episodes. It's going to be Supergirl on Sunday night, then Batwoman right after that, then the Flash episode, then the Arrow episode, then the Legends of Tomorrow episode. But the Arrow episode and the Legends episode won't air till January. They're only going to air the first 3 episodes, then they go on break, then the second half airs when we come back in January. Early prediction, he's going to debut during the first half of the crossover. They're not going to make you wait till January to see Tom Welling's Superman come back into the Arrowverse. They really want everybody to watch this crossover, so adding Tom Welling's Superman is a really easy slam dunk way to get a lot of older viewers to come back who are big fans of the Smallville TV show and have sort of left the newer shows as they've gone on in seasons. Tom Welling himself and Stephen Amell have been messing with fans about him coming on the show for a long time now. Stephen started taking pictures with him at conventions, telling stories about them reminiscing about being the leading men in DC TV shows, because there's a lot of things that they share in common, even though Smallville predates the modern DC TV universe by a long time. If you go to a lot of conventions too, Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum do a lot of appearances together. He's also been asked if his version of Lex Luthor is coming back to the DC TV universe, so you can bet that if Tom Welling is coming back, that Michael Rosenbaum is also probably coming back too. But even just a little while ago at some convention appearances, when people were asking, because we're getting really close to them actually filming the crossover episodes, this is the Monitor sitting on the set of one of the episodes getting ready to film his scenes. He's full-on reading a Crisis on Infinite Earths comic book, just teasing fans. He's not reading it because it's part of the script or anything like that. He's just reading it to tease the fans like, oh, look at what we're doing right now. We're totally doing the crossover episodes. Just a little while ago, Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum said that they had not been contacted about being in the crossover, which we knew was not true because even earlier back at Comic-Con, Mark Guggenheim, who's the person that's been announcing all this stuff, said that they've been in constant contact with all the Smallville actors' agents trying to find a way to get them to come back. Now, when they say Smallville actors, I know a lot of you are like, wait, what about Green Arrow from Smallville? Because Justin Hartley was taking pictures with Stephen Amell at a convention a little while ago, too. They're totally on good terms. Justin Hartley said he would totally be willing to come back. They even put an Easter egg for his version of Green Arrow in last year's crossover in All the Dead Bodies. He was wearing the Smallville Green Arrow costume, so there was a big question if they would actually get Justin Hartley. But because he's on a really popular NBC network show, it's a little bit harder to get him right now. Separately, Lana Lang from that TV show also said that she would love to come back, and she's still in relatively good standing in the public eye. There's no scandals that she's involved in, unlike some other Smallville actors. So it's a little bit easier to get some of the others to come back. This is a picture that the 3 of them took at a convention a little while ago. I have a feeling that in a little while they'll announce that she's coming back and Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor is coming back. Here's the thing about his Lex Luthor, though, is because the main version of Lex Luthor in the DC TV universe is being played by John Cryer. He was killed at the end of last season of Supergirl, but then totally respawned by the Monitor because he had some purpose to serve during the crossover. That version of Lex Luthor will probably play a bigger role than the Michael Rosenbaum version of Lex Luthor, but I have a feeling that however small or big their parts are, they'll still be very, very important to the story. They haven't said a whole lot more about what's going on with Batman during the crossover. The one from the Batgirl TV show is still missing off in the wild somewhere. I like to think that based on the Easter eggs and the fact that that show takes place in a place that looks a lot like The Dark Knight because they filmed a lot of those scenes in Chicago where they filmed the Dark Knight trilogy, is that version of Batman is actually the Christian Bale version, so he wouldn't show up because there's no way that Christian Bale is going to come on the TV shows. but we are getting the Kevin Conroy older Batman from Batman Beyond, Batman the Animated Series, but they haven't said a lot about what his role is going to be, or the Burt Ward Robin, who's going to be guest starring from the 1966 Batman TV show. But because Brandon Routh is actually going to be leaving the DCTV universe, he plays Ray Palmer on Legends of Tomorrow, but he's going to be Kingdom Come Superman during the crossover. He's actually leaving the DCTV shows after this next season of Legends of Tomorrow. So what they'll probably do is give him a really huge part. They might wind up sacrificing him. As long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you should see all the videos when I post them. Leave all your video requests in the comments below. We also got our first look at Nightwing on Titans, so I might do a video for that later today. There's also some new Spider-Man, Sinister Six, and Venom videos that I'm working on, so I'll try to get that stuff out as fast as possible. There's just a lot of really cool, big news that just dropped this week. I'll name a giveaway winner when I post that new DC video. Click here for all my other Flash Season 6 trailer videos, and click here for my brand new Rick and Morty Season 4 trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.